He helped move thinking from the heart to the brain as the center of mental life.
Wow. So that was the contribution of what's his name? Agmayo. That was
Akmal
his contribution.
Griffin.
Now let's move on. Mummification.
So mummification is the ancient practice of preserving a dead
Mhm.
body by
Yeah.
preventing decay,
Mhm.
usually through drying, embalming, and wrapping.
Wow. What is its significance historically?
So the historical significance, most famously practiced in ancient Egypt, based on the belief that the soul, Ka and
Ka
Ba,
and Ba.
needed a preserved body for the afterlife.
Yes. Move
It
on.
indirectly advanced early anatomical knowledge because
Mhm.
embalmers handled internal organs such as the heart, liver, lungs, and brain.
Yes. You know, especially the Egyptians. The Egyptians used to embalm. They used to embalm to preserve, especially people of relevance. People who, hey, give my place, you understand? Yes, so the word mummification is actually that practice of preserving a dead body by
Mhm.
preventing so that the person will not decay. And they usually do this through drying the person or embalming, taking out the internal organ like the intestines and the rest, and then they embalm the body or they wrap the person till the person dries up and they preserve it. That was some of their mostly their practice, especially like Pharaoh. People believe that when you go to Egypt right now, you see Pharaoh because he was embalmed and preserved. Not only Pharaoh, a lot of scientists and people who made history. They didn't just bury all of them, they embalmed some of them and kept them.
I said go and listen. They started the class.
Attributing mental illness to spirits and gods, meaning
Yes,
meaning this refers to the ancient belief that abnormal behavior or mental illness was caused by possession by evil spirits, punishment or influence from gods,
yeah,
curses, or moral failure.
yes. Yeah, when we go to the main slide, you will understand why they said they attributed their belief or whatever to spirits. Because these were nomads who finally settled at one place and then they started with Agric. And then through that, um, cities began to spring up from those places. And so they had the belief that whatever happened to somebody, it was due to what? Either whatever challenge somebody faced was due to spirits or God. They are not meaning the Almighty, they are meaning little gods, idols. So that
Yeah,
is
God.
that. Let's hear what went on.
Historical context. This
Okay.
was this was common in Mesopotamia,
Wow.
ancient
Then why am I? It's my own number.
and early cultures. Their treatment involved prayers, rituals, exorcism, and offerings rather than biological medicine. This shows a supernatural level of explanation of the mind.
Yes. You see that place he mentioned, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia was more or less present day, present day Iraq and part of Syria and part
Yeah.
of Turkey and part of Iran. And then we add Egypt. So you see, these people are having similar belief. They are predominantly Muslims in present. I mean, presently they are predominantly Muslims. But prior to that, a lot of them worship idol. They were doing idol worship among others until the
Yeah.
advent of Islam, until Islam set in and now they began to convert. So they had strong belief in the supernatural being, but how to locate it or how to get it was the challenge. And then everybody believed in whatever he believed in. For that matter, they associated things of these like ill health, among others, to being spirits or the gods. Let's move on.
Exorcism. Meaning,
Exorcism.
exorcism is a religious or spiritual practice intended to drive out evil spirits or demons believed to be possessing a person, object, or place.
Yes, you can see that even I don't know, are they charismatic churches? They also, even now, they do it. Both the
Deliverance.
Christians and the Muslims, even today, they do it.
Or
But
deliverance.
now they are doing it in line with the Bible and the Quran.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what they call rukia.
Yeah.
They believe that the person is possessed or there's a demon in the person, and they will recite certain verses or incantations, so that the person, the spirit will go out. That is what they mean by exorcism.
Okay. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers of Mesopotamia.
Yes.
Meaning, the Tigris and the Euphrates are two major rivers in Western Asia that form the fertile land known as Mesopotamia,
Okay.
Greek land between rivers.
Yes. It was a Greek term to mean land between rivers, Mesopotamia, and notably where the Tigris River and the Euphrates. Now, this area, according to them, the land over there was very fertile, so it was suitable for agric. Let's move on.
Okay, so the importance, cradle of one of the earliest civilizations,
Okay.
Sumerians, Akkadians,
Akkadians, Babylonians,
Assyrians,
and the
Assyrians
Assyrians.
supported agriculture, cities, writing, cuneiform law, and early medicine.
Yeah.
Early explanation of disease and behavior combined medicine, magic, and religion.
So you can see that religion keeps springing up. If they don't mention religion, they mention spirit. They mention gods. So you can see how embedded they were in belief,
Yes.
among others. Let's move on to number 6.
Okay, so to notice something anatomically,
Anatomically. Yes.
meaning to notice something anatomically means to observe,
Okay.
identify,
Mhm.
or study a body structure and recognize its physical form or location.
Yes.
For example,
Anatomy. The word is coming from the word anatomy. To
yeah,
study a body structure, recognize its physical form and its location, and then finally its function. That is what it means. They are
okay.
giving us example.
So example, noticing that the brain is inside the skull,
Yes.
observing nerves, blood vessels,
Mhm.
or organs during this dissection or
Dissection.
injury. Dissection
Dissection to
or
open up
injury.
the person. Mhm. Or injury.
This
So
marks a shift
these
from
were some of the
spiritual
things
explanations
that they
to
were doing
physical.
anatomically. Carry on, brother.
This marks a shift from spiritual explanations to physical observation in
Yes.
medicine.
Yes. So you can see that the people were spiritually oriented. But when they started anatomy, they were gradually shifting away from the spiritual to actual physical observation in medicine. and that eventually gave us anatomy. Instead of just imagining or believing, they move from that one to now acting
Yeah.
physically for everybody to see. Let's move on to point 7.
So they believe that the brain cools the blood.
Yes,
The
that was
belief.
the belief of some philosophers, notable Aristotle. Yes,
Explanation. Some ancient Greek
Greek
philosophers,
philosophers.
especially Aristotle,
Uh-huh.
believed the heart was the center of thoughts and emotion.
Okay.
The brain's role was to cool the hot blood produced by the heart.
Mm-hmm.
This cooling prevented emotional excess and maintained balance.
Wow. Uh-huh. Why did they believe this?
So why did they believe this? The brain feels cooler than other organs.
Okay.
Lack of knowledge about neurons and electrical
Signaling.
signaling. This view played full recognition of the brain's true function.
Aristotle wasn't an ordinary person. He was a philosopher. So their word carried weight. And according to the explanation, it was not exactly so. And because of that, it had delayed the full recognition of the brain's true function. Though what he said was believed, but as things evolved, they finally got to know that it is not like that. But it contributed to the involvement, or it contributed to the development of the brain. So that is that. Let's move on.
So the
Okay, I
scope
think
and
this was what I was
relevance.
saying.
So we are done with that portion. Now
Oh
we
yeah,
are
they were just explanation for it so that when we meet it eventually in the final notes, then we all understand.
okay.
So here I was asking the class whether we discuss this particular one, the scope and relevance of neuroscience in health.
So should we move?
I
Should I
don't
move
think we
to?
did it. We didn't touch it last week. So we can run through it
So can we look at
because it's been on the page since last week. So let's run through
okay,
it.
the scope and relevance of neuroscience in health?
Yes. Move
The
on,
word
brother.
scope, among other meanings, include the range, the extent, or the boundaries of something, such as the boundaries of neuroscience.
Okay.
Simply put, the scope refers to what neuroscience covers and influences in health.
Okay. Let's go through that. Now that place is emphasizing on the word scope. You know, I don't know whether you did it in the first year. Your scope. All of us have our scope. You have where you are where you are allowed, where you are permitted to practice up to. There are certain things you are not to do. Why? Because it's not part of your scope. I don't know whether you are getting me.
Yes, we are with you.
Yes. What you are permitted to, or what you were trained to do, is your scope. What you were not trained to do and you are not also permitted to do it is not your scope. For that matter, every healthcare practitioner should know his or her scope. If you veer off your scope, sometimes it has no problem in the sense that if you have not yet met a challenge, you may go scot-free. But we
Okay.
don't pray that the day a big challenge comes, the first thing they are going to ask you is your permission to veer into that side. I don't know whether somebody is following me.
Yes, we are with you.
It is like somebody who is driving without driving license. If you are driving and you have not gotten a challenge yet, oh, you can drive. But woe betides the person the day he or she is involved in an accident. The moment the MTTU people come, the first question they are going to ask is what? What are they going to ask the driver?
Yeah. The MTTU who ask the driver about your
They will
license.
first ask where your license is.
Number one, number
Your
one,
license.
your license. And if the person doesn't have license or the right license, either you don't have the line or you don't have the right license. You are a taxi driver before we see you are driving a articulator. Meanwhile, you were permitted to drive only smaller cars.
Yes.
And now you are driving a heavy car. Do you think the law will leave that
No,
person?
not at all.
That is not part of your scope. Even though you are driving, but it is you were not permitted for that. If you think you know that, then go and upgrade your license to cover that one. If you don't, and then you feel, oh, they are all licenses, so no wahala, I can do it. Fine. If you drive and no problem comes yet, oh, you are free to go. But the day that person meets a challenge, that is when he will know that there are rules and regulations in the society. So same thing applies to our scope, the scope of neuroscience. Which one and which one does it entail? That we say that this is part of neuroscience. The other side is not part of neuroscience. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
What neuroscience entails. Let's move on. Number one.
The brain structure and function.
It
How
means neuroscience covers the brain structure and the function of the brain. Is part of neuroscience. Yes, move on, brother.
how the brain controls movements,
Wow.
memory, emotions, sleep, appetites, and breathing.
It means the brain controls what? Our movement, our mobility, our memory, how we remember things or how we understand things, our emotions. We have some people, they are quick-tempered. Others too are calm. How our sleep pattern, our appetite, and sometimes the way we breathe, they are all being controlled by the brain. Let's move on.
Understanding different brain regions and their roles.
Understanding different brain regions and their roles. Wow. So the brain has regions. Indirectly, that's what the statement is telling us. That the brain has regions. Like we said last week, the brain has 4 major regions. They call them the lobes. The 4 lobes of the brain. And we have the frontal lobe. The back is the occipital lobe. We have the parietal lobe. And then we have the temporal lobe. There are 4 areas known as regions. Others call them ventricles. So yes, we are getting the understanding. It is telling us that the brain is not just the head alone. There are regions. And these control how we act, how we survive, how we do our things. For instance, 2 people will be struck by stroke. One person cannot speak. Another person is speaking, but other part of his body is also affected. It could affect the eye, it could affect the mouth. But the other person too got stroke, yet he is able to speak. Some cannot walk, others too are walking. It's all due to which side of the brain, which region of the brain was affected. Let's move on.
Nervous system regulation.
Wow. Our nervous system. Yes. Move on.
Uh, Autonomic nervous system,
Uh-huh.
the ANS. Sympathetic and parasympathetic
Do
control
you
of
remember
heart rate.
do you remember we spoke about this last week?
Yes.
It is still on the page. So they say, what does it do?
It controls, the sympathetic and then parasympathetic controls of heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, and stress response.
Our stress response. Some are able to respond to stress calmly, others to no. They are disorganized due to stress. All is coming from the nervous system of the individual. Let's move on to the third one.
Brain-body communication.
Wow.
How nerve signals influence organs, heart, gut, muscles, hormones, mind-body connection.
So it tells you that our brain communicates with the rest of the body. Neuroscience is making us to understand this, that the brain communicates with the body. And last week, I gave you an example of my friend who got burnt in the fire because there was a misconnection or there was a disconnection, telling the body that where you are is dangerous. For that matter, move out. If that disconnection takes place, the person is gone. Why? There's no communication. For that matter, the area that should have taken the action cannot take. And they are giving us example of some of the organs, like the heart, like our gut, so that it will control the movement of food in the intestine. We call it peristalsis. Our muscles, when they are to contract, when they are to relax, they are all being communicated as a result of the brain. Our hormones, which hormone should move before which hormone, and in which quantity. So that is known as the mind-body connection. Let's move on.
Mental and emotional health.
Mental and emotional health. Yes.
Stress, anxiety, depression, mood regulation, emotional balance, and resilience.
Yes. We have mental health, emotional health, financial health, physical health, among others. Here, they are telling us that our mental and our emotional health are all part of neuroscience. And they are giving us examples, anxiety and the like.
Neurodevelopment and
Somebody
aging.
is speaking. Please check the person to mute his mic.
Neurodevelopment and aging.
Kumsin Daniel.
Dr. Kumsin.
Naughty Eric. You people should mute your mic.
Mr. Kumsin. Yes.
Neurodevelopment and aging. Brain development in children and adolescents.
Yeah, Mr. Harry, your this thing is also on. Kindly mute it. Yeah, not yet. Mr. Naughty, please, your mic is on. We are getting feedback, so kindly mute it for us. So now you can continue.
Okay. Neurodevelopment and aging.
Neurodevelopment and aging, yes.
Brain development in children and adolescents.
Adolescents.
Memory, cognition, and brain health in aging.
Yes, especially in aging. Brain health is a very serious thing. To be forgetting in old age is not a small thing. You can lose a lot. But if you are not yet in that state, you will not understand. That is a serious thing. Until you are, unless we those who are close to elderly people, then you understand that forgetting in old age is not a good thing. Even in your 60s, you can start to forget. How much more those in their 70s, 80s, and 90s? And can you imagine when you are holding something valuable and then you join public transport and then eventually you forgot and left it inside and came out? Can you imagine how serious that thing is? Like it happened to me yesterday. Forgetfulness. I was in a hurry to go for a program. I reached a place and I decided to buy coconut. After they broke the tin and I drank finish, I left my phone on the other coconuts and took car and left. On our way, I remembered, hey, where's my phone? I had to stop, get down, pick another car, and came back to the place. Fortunately, no customer saw it but the owner. And they gave my thing. I was like, oh, my notes that I have prepared for especially today's class were all on the phone, among other contacts. Can you imagine if you should lose this phone? What is going to happen? So I'm just using that one as an example. For that matter, brain health is very, 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 very relevant in life. Children to be able to remember, adolescents, and so on and so forth. Meaning you are in the school going age. And can you imagine if you are a student and you are fond of forgetting easily? Remember, exams are written within a time frame. They will not tell you that we have given to you the whole day. You are certainly going to be given some hours, if not minutes, to answer. Only to hand over your answer booklet or whatever for you to remember the answer. It has happened to so many students, including myself. You are trying to remember within the time frame, and the answer is not coming. As soon as they say time is up, you went and handle your answer booklet, and then you move out, and then the answer drops. Meanwhile, you have already handed over to the examiner. You don't know, or you didn't pass. Meanwhile, not that you didn't pass, your memory or the rate at which you memorize things is slow. For that matter, it is relevant that we keep our brains or our memory active, not only to pass exams, but to keep you sharp, so that there are certain things that shouldn't happen to you because of forgetfulness. Let's move on to the point 6.
Okay. Pain and sensory processing.
Yes.
How pain is generated, perceived, and controlled. Chronic
Yes.
pain, headaches, nerve pain.
That is another serious area. Especially anytime I reach this top point, I remember women, especially ladies that go through CS. No matter what anesthesia you are given, come what may, the drop will subside and you will definitely feel part of the pain. And it's not an easy thing. Those of us who have ever witnessed how that procedure is performed, you realize that even after the procedure, they don't just take the person straight to the ward. There is another room after the theater. The surgical, the theater will move that person to another room where they call recovery. The person will be there until they are certain that you are now stabilized. Why? Because it's not an easy thing. The pain involved Though you've been given anesthesia, but still you will feel it after the drug strength subsides. So yes, pain and sensory processing in the brain. Like I mentioned to the brother who died, my friend Tohir. If that disconnection sets in, you are not going to be feeling it, but it is causing harm among others.